Why do you work with them, Turner? Just out of curiosity.
Because they have to have our back when we're out there as well.
Yeah, they have your back, that's for sure. Grabbing
You
it
may
by
not see
the
it that way, but
love
they
handles, you know.
Yeah. They do. You bought this building right here.
I'm thinking about it. Like, why not? You know what I mean?
Is it currently vacant?
I don't see anything here.
Link down below. Okay. A beautiful courtyard.
What if we ban the Blaine County till the end of my term?
I feel like that'd create more waves than worth.
Would it not be easier? You know, there's a lot that I want to do. I just know it's too much. I can only push. Listen, I've been very moderated over the last year. Self-moderating, right? Most of what I've utilized is just kind of like threats, like, you know, a toll booth on the highway. Even that, I had the fucking people hacking into my fucking laptop looking at lockdown legislation, passing it around. I'd be surprised what we had to deal with in the cabinet. But genuinely, if I did run for both offices, I would immediately delete Blaine County.
I agree. In the sense of departments.
To a singular department. Because, unfortunately, the LSPD, transparently, under the guise of working together, just allows the department to get fucked in the ass. And kind of thinks to themselves like, oh, man, this is exactly what I wanted.
I think it's much more complicated than just that, but I think it's a two-way street at times.
Hey, Grayson, I'll call you right back, yeah?
No problem.
All right.
Absolutely.
Back to you in a bit.
Jesus, this building's tall.
Yep.
I think it's a two-way street at times. Everyone makes mistakes. As long as we're looking to improve and continue moving forward, which we are, and they are as well.
Okay.
That's the important part.
I don't think the LSPD, and I have no reason to sugarcoat, right, has been able to be in control of its own county. And, you know, you can only give people so much rope until they using it to, you know, choke you over. Like, so tell me, what has improved, right?
What has improved?
Like, maybe I don't know.
I think departmental relations have improved.
Okay.
I think they do respect the department to an extent. Of course, there's always bad actors. Don't get me wrong. But you can't just put a wall in place. You can't just put a wall there and say no more, right? We have to work together. We have to try to improve. The entire county, I'm talking about the entire island, the whole state needs both departments, needs the people.
How can you say that with a straight face when LSPD had to do all the work for Princess? Because at the end of the day, that is the job of the department, right? Like when someone has to sit back and like evaluate whatever organization it is, right? LSPD, Blaine County, segments of the DOJ, segments of the mayor's offices, right? Businesses that are operating.
How did you bring it to the sheriff? I mentioned it. I brought it up to him and asked him why they didn't look into it.
So, I saw him in the parking lot, and I believe Maxwell witnessed this because I had been speaking. I said, hey, I need to tell you about what's going on with BCSO. It's very, or not, but with the Blaine County Mayor's Office. It's very serious, and it's about embezzlement with the gas station. And he looked at me and he said, and I quote, "That sounds like work. I just want to have fun." So at that point, I sat back and I'm like, this guy's like actually fucking useless, which is not surprising to me. Because McNulty is, is he a nice guy? Sure. Is he a guy that might be worth having like a drink with? Like I'd fuck with him at a bar, you know? But when it comes to like law enforcement, if he's not chasing something fast or shooting something, he's literally useless. And this, bear in mind, I'm not surprised with this response, right? Because there's history there, not necessarily between us two, but I've seen how he's moved. Back when I first needed to pick a chief of police, he was part of the conglomerate that was trying to force my hand and make a choice. My original decision was to keep
McNulty, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
And that if I didn't pick a chief, I was going to ruin everything. I don't know. It's a very idiotic approach to things. Keep in mind, I had just gotten into the office. I don't know how the PD operates. I need to make a assessment, right? And so the original plan was to keep Barrett Johnson in place for a month to give him an opportunity to see if he's able to operate without the shackles of a commissioner, right? Unfortunately, within 48 hours, he created a fucking disaster. One that caused myself and Andy to pretty much stop working together. I don't want to go too deep into it, but the TLDR is an hour into getting sworn in, they came to me asking for the cargo fast unit. Highway patrol. They said it was for interceptors at a time where vehicles are only going like 120, with the intent that it was only supposed to be used on the highway, but they were acting very slick. It's only going to be used on the highway, but we can attach to any call we want. Whatever. I told them to write it down, and they had a problem with that, right? Like, imagine you're 12, 14 hours awake and being demanded a signature on something, and I'm simply just asking, write it down. They leave the room. You know, Blaine County leaves the room. Barrett's crying to me. Oh, my God, they never told me about this. They never want to work with me, blah, blah, blah. And I tell him, listen, I got your back. If I got to fucking kick them out of the department or out of the county, like, you know, I'm willing to throw my dick down like that if you're not getting the support. This fucking dumb fuck goes to Andy and tells her I'm kicking him out of Blaine County. So he's the worst kind of snake, right? He'll misinterpret. He'll sip tea, right? With misinterpretations and cause turmoil.
McNulty did this, just
No. This was Barrett.
Barrett did, okay.
So now I needed to replace him. I spent and clocked about 300 hours speaking to law enforcement from officer on up, and we started to create a short list. Unfortunately, we were dealing with a similar problems to kind of what we see today, where individual law enforcement believe that they're entitled to be judge, jury, and executioner. Their existence is like mandatory, right? That they don't see that as a privilege, but rather as a entitled position where, you know, it's their way or the highway, them versus us. Just a mentality that luckily is now in the minority, but there was a lot of that at the time. So when attempting to find a chief that sort of baked into the principle of we're living in a democratic society now where they're a function of the public, right? It was very difficult to do. And as the choice list got smaller and smaller, and I'd asked McNulty, hey, do you want to be chief? I genuinely wanted him to be. He said no. He didn't want it. It's too much work. He just wants to be a regular officer. He put his name on the hat when he realized Ruby wasn't going to be chief and possibly not Vivian, and acted as though he never told me he never wanted the job. So it's I can never really trust him after that point, right? If he had come to me and said, look, wasn't going to do this before, but now I want it. But no, it was like a haphazard, just say yes, because there's another ping going off. It was unfortunate, that conversation. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, we can make a million excuses as to why McNulty didn't look into Princess, but at the end of the day, they're just excuses, right?
At the very least, it should have been looked into and handed off to the marshals. Or even handed off to us, but probably should have been looked through by the BCSO. I don't disagree with that.
It's a passion problem, Turner. I think it's always been. It's a choice between being passionate and being a law enforcement officer or just another NPC.
I don't disagree. I think passions are to come by, and it's important to support people who do have that passion. Absolutely.
That's right. So
You don't think things have gotten better?
over the last year, 100%.
Over the last 6 months?
Yes, because you don't cry all the time. I think that you do execute, which is difficult for a lot of high command, but I think you are a little bit soft. I think it's a good trait, being compassionate, but you don't want to make too many excuses for people.
Soft in terms of BCSO.
I think even with your own officers, right? I was surprised, for example, during that conversation with, you know, over the VAF thing, right? You tried to defend your Espinals by saying he knows what RS is, right? That's what a mother does to a child when their child fucking puts shit on their head. The entire fucking diaper. And it's like, oh no, he's just 2 years old. No, but that's a grown adult right there. I want to explain though, Turner, and this is, I'm not trying to insult you here, genuinely, with that comment, but rather I'm pointing out something that I believe. And hey, I'm not fucking Jesus or whatever fucking deity you might believe in, but and who knows, maybe I'm wrong here, but accountability has to start from the very top. And when you have an officer that cannot even, is in 1 minute telling me that they cannot articulate an argument for the seizure of a vehicle, right? And then I'm having to explain how you get there, and their recourse to rebuttal is, I know what RS is. It's which one is it? You either know how to do it or you don't know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you need to be prepared to be educated by the lawmaker that created in place and has had a bar license for 25 years. And if you're not willing to do that, I mean, think about it, Turner. That entire argument was off me saying, hey, maybe we can set up something to get DOJ here to explain some of these things that are a challenge point. And if the reaction is, I already know this, you've already failed. Because I don't know everything. Right? I have to listen. I need to learn too on a day-to-day basis. It's how my cabinet's been successful. Right?
We always have to learn, continue learning. I think Espinosa doesn't understand RS. I do. If I didn't think he understood RS, I'm sure I'd hear about it, and we definitely wouldn't have him as a sergeant. Now, keeping up to date, as you said, as to what RS is and how it applies to different situations, in a sense, is a different story.
The point there was, it's a pedantic point, right? if due process is being explained, RS is a function of it. To say that entire argument boiled down to whether or not you know RS is kind of cooked. You know, it's like Gordon Ramsay teaching someone how to make a what is it? What the fuck is it? The little fucking roast beef with the little
Beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington, right? And someone's like, imagine like he's teaching someone like screaming at him, and then is like, "Are you telling me I don't know how to use a spatula?" You know what I mean? It's like the only thing that you're gonna be thinking at that moment is this guy's a fucking bozo, right? No, you don't know how to use this. Like maybe you don't. I don't know, because clearly you can't follow this conversation. So it puts everything into question. Anyways, but has it gotten better? Absolutely. Can it be better? Of course.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know, I think
There's room for improvement.
yeah.
I think I'm always striving to do better and help people be better. And I think with this, while I still don't know if this is the right route or not, I'm obviously getting behind it, and we're going to try to get people on board for this new system or lack thereof, and you know, try to get people comfortable with it. Now, obviously, we have to get comfortable with it first. I think speaking to a few people, getting something written up, explaining the process, what the process should be, will also open up their eyes and ears to you know, potentially utilizing in other areas. So
my recommendation would be to, I spoke to King about this, is that y'all should work on a target list. PD does not understand how the court system works in general, right? And
it changes half the time depending what judge you're dealing with, but yeah.
Yeah, but that in and of itself is kind of what
it's gotten better though, frankly. So,
it has. And I'm pointing this out because I think this is an area of improvement, right? Do people know how to...
I hear someone running.
Yeah, I hear that too. It's fine.
Can I help you, Opal?
When I make that statement, I don't mean to say that you don't have officers that can't go to court, know how to make a posting. No, that's... I'm talking about at a higher level, right? Is how every court case, every docket posting is all interconnected, right? And what the strategy is to win cases in the long term. I think that there is an impression, and some of that came out during the VAF conversation, is that guilty or not guilty is based on some like check boxes, right? Courts never like that. A prosecutor can bring the same court case with the same judge and get two separate rulings based on the argument presented and the ability to dismantle an affirmative defense.
I mean, I think check boxes are inherently there. They're not. You hit certain criteria, right? Certain criteria allows you to move on to different levels of investigation. And I think that's what you have to establish. So to an extent, I think there are check boxes. It depends how someone breaks it down in their mind, right?
Right, but in court, you...
I was gonna say, do I have RS? Okay, go this route. Do I have PC? Almost like a flow chart. It shouldn't be a flow chart in the sense of it's presented to you, but your mind needs to work that way. That's how mine does, at least. You know, if I have X, do Y.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I see what you mean. To the point, though, is if the police department just starts going and haphazardly seizing whatever they can, right? Y'all are going to fail miserably, and it's going to have a very negative, I think, morale hit, right? Especially if it is spun up with, see, it's not...
Answer this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is someone leaving port 1 out of the marshal. Okay, I'm in a meeting right now and have a few lined up. So let me. Is it urgent here? Time sensitive. Okay, I will contact you here in just a little bit. I'd expect an hour plus right now, if that's right. All right, take care. Bye bye.
So
a few big cases there. Apologies.
I think it would behoove you guys to make a target list that is changing based on more information coming in, so that the first couple seizures are of the highest quality, right? Because let's say the first 5, you immediately we've got seizure cases that hit the docket. They're probably going to fail, right? Just because low effort, right? Poor argumentation. And then the danger. Exactly. Whereas opposed to going for some high value ones, right? Where there is a clear, concise, like very highly articulated seizure argument, you get a couple W's under your belt and a couple successes, right? And when I say high value, I'm saying like if it was treated the same way like a high value warrant would. I think you set yourself up for a lot more success there. You know what I mean?
We'll have to over these last 5 months that I've been here now, I've come to find that, while I took a break before I came back, I'm not as polished as I once was, especially with the investigation aspect, with the courts aspect. Things have changed. I definitely have to rely on people within the department who are experts in that field or more versed in that field at the very least. I think I'm going to have to sit down with those people and figure out what, and maybe even with most likely with our advisor, and figure out what level of evidence and how we want to proceed with it, and end up putting something out on that completely, so we get off on the right foot and not less trial and error. More thought goes into it beforehand.
Like, have you attempted to seize Princess's assets?
I believe that's going to end up, I'll say no. No, we have not. I believe pending the outcome of those cases, that was going to be the next step, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm just throwing something out there, right? Like, that's a prime example of write a warrant of seizure for her vehicles. Have them before she can sell them off. Because, damn well she probably will.
You're saying seize that vehicle, though, based on what we've posted, as opposed to a traditional system. It's proceeds of a criminal action, right? Is what you're essentially saying.
Sure.
Right.
It might be too late. It may not be. I'm not certain. But that was and may still be a prime example of, hey, you're already going to the docket. You have fines and times. There's no reason not to seize those things. Number one, like you said, proceeds. Number two, as debt to the crime, right? Those, if y'all believe it was used, either purchased illicitly or, like you said, proceeds of a crime, why not? Right?
Yeah, I'll have to get with the case lead on that.
Or even taking a look at what is coming down the line, right?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's other docket cases. I mean, there might be ones that are unscheduled yet, so far that may have some prime, They might be primed for seizures.
Yeah, I could agree. I know we're going after a property right now.
Yeah. Give me a second.
All right.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All right.
So July 3rd.
July 3rd. I'm going to keep it somewhatly summarized here and without giving out all the detail, but I think you should be aware of it.
Yeah.
As this person was targeting government employees.
Yep.
Impossible. So, involving bombs, involving potential grenades, kidnappings, shooting government employees. There's quite a bit going on in that area. I was away for the weekend. I'm not sure if there's been any progress on it. That transpired on Friday the 3rd. So I think it's important that you're aware that there is someone right now going around potentially kidnapping and hurting government employees. Law enforcement's not off the table. Candidates for mayoral positions, sitting magistrates, we found cameras at our PD, at the courthouse, at the marshal's office, various government buildings.
I can't believe we winged this entire thing.
Just need you to be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, be careful. It is still an ongoing investigation that we're looking into.
All right. God damn it. You have suspects?
A couple names are on the report.
Tyler Knox? Is there a warrant out at least?
No, we don't have enough right now. Actually, I shouldn't say we don't have enough. I need to check in with Ruby, who's leading the investigation. I got off duty shortly after these incidents took place, and Ruby's leading that investigation. We'll have to look at the report and speak with them.
All right.
So, again, my goal here to inform you about this isn't necessarily details, but more so that you need to be careful out there.
All right.
Know your surroundings, knows who's around you. Supposedly, this is when I spoke to him, this is only supposed to transpire on the 3rd of July, every 3rd of July. Do be careful. There's nothing stopping them from doing it.
Yeah.
The 4th, the 5th, the 6th, any other day, right?
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right.
Besides that, though, which is quite worrisome. Serial gang-related shooting. You said you're gonna look over that with your cabinet.
Yes. I got to find a time this week.
All right. I haven't been, actually, you know, I don't think I have anything else here today. I haven't been briefed about this weekend or anything yet, so it would transpire from that once I speak to everyone.
Hopefully,
but I think I'm good, unless you have anything else for me there, Nino.
budgeting.
All right.
Has Pursuit Team been all right with their shit? Because, I mean, it seems like I haven't gotten any many requests, so everything must be A-okay.
You remember that meeting we had with Ventura and Bradford in my office about the engines and everything, parts? Yep. They have a running report right now. I told them to get quotes, which they're definitely lacking in doing right now. I told them I want quotes on it. It's still a command report. Last I checked, at least maybe a few days ago, a week ago. They probably had another month left on parts, give or take. It's probably going to be nearing here quite quickly. Probably need to light that fire under their ass again here.
Do they know how to create a report?
They do.
Okay.
They have it all formatted and everything. They just, like I said, I asked them to get prices. There's no prices yet. Everything's got maybe a month, like I said, left or so.
All right. How about your budget?
Budget's sitting around $7 million.
All right, that's good. All right, easy. Okay, that's good.
What's that?
I said that's good.
Yeah, it's definitely crawling compared to what it used to, right? With those price changes. So we're being a little more careful. We're supplying parts to basically one set of parts to each officer. If they want to move them from vehicle to vehicle, they can. That's what we'll supply. And they need to maintain them. We're going to try to help out maintaining, but right now, just due to the budgetary constraints, which we're trying to be a little careful, keep some money in reserves here.
Yeah.
Tires and repair parts are probably what we're going to need a lot of. So looking to buy those up and hand them out to other shifts.
All right.
90% of our budget goes to car parts. That's what it is.
Yep.
So, but time being, we're doing okay.
All right.
I see the county account's doing a little bit more than okay.
I don't know what's going to
million.
happen to that.
I'd be worried if someone like Edgar gotten to put in that position, or again, we've been told they'll deny it. Now, I'm curious, how is that denied if there is nothing in legislation?
What do you mean?
Is there something in legislation that I'm missing, or?
DOJ controls the election.
They have complete control of the election. Is that is that noted anywhere specific in legislation? I'm more or less just curious to educate myself here. So
it depends how you interpret it.
Ooh, okay. That's worrisome.
I'm probably the only one that can get Edgar elected. So
you're not planning on that, are you?
I haven't really decided.
Who are you backing?
The future.
Publicly or privately?
Future.
Future what?
Future is San Andreas.
Right. Is there a name in that future?
Everything's like a variable, right? And the question is, do any one of those variables lead to a better tomorrow? Transparently, I think Edgar becoming mayor would probably set the city on fire and force the hand of the investors to start anew. Whereas other options would just mean more stability. But not the kind of stability people truly want. The very same day in, day out. I think the police department's known for a long time who Edgar really is, who he works with, who he works for. I think for a long time, PD has known but has failed to act on. Members of the judiciary that work for that very same organization I'm alluding to. The very same organization that, when you look to the left, runs this city. Power's much greater than us. Or I should say, more greater than you. There was a lot of talk about the end times. A conversation that law enforcement seemingly has forgotten. Probably because it's landed on the desk of that dumb fuck, Richard Dock. The man that runs around chasing his own fucking shadow, making himself look busy, but hasn't amounted to anything in his entire life. So while the entire city sits, the city's future sits on that man's desk, they plan, they plot. While the marshals continue to look for some dirty bomb, some virus, when in reality, Edgar de Castillo is the nuke. That, if elected, will burn the city down. And from those ashes, those of us that survive start afresh. And maybe that's what this city needs. A new tomorrow, rather than the promise of a better one. I'm surprised none of you guys questioned Barrett. Then again, they probably never told you.
Told me what?
I can't answer that question there. I value my life there. Don't know. And it's not him that I'm worried about. Rather who he works for. And so flagrantly was able to make his decisions with nobody batting a single eye. I'll give you some things to churn on, but I recommend you do this yourself and not tell anybody else. Then maybe you'll get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. You tell anybody, you know, it's only gonna fuck me over and probably prevent you from really digging in deep. I recommend you take a look at Edgar's court case. Who presided over it, whether it followed procedure, who decided to put two rivals into the same home together, who is present every single day, and ask yourself the question, why? And here's the beauty, Turner. Everyone always has an excuse. However, we become complicit when we accept excuses instead of challenging them. Anyways.
I'll take a look at it.
But yeah, I haven't really decided yet.
Well, if you do, let me know.
Yep, we'll do. I'll let you know before, in a couple days' time. Just ask me again. Maybe we'll have made a decision by then.
Sounds good. I will.
All right. All right.
All right, Nino. I think I should head back and have a conversation with a few people here.
Yeah.
Thank you for the chat.
Anytime. You know, I really do like that N I installed in the Vinewood sign. I got that term 1.
Those look nice. Makes it pop.
It does. Yo,